Welcome to Parkway's Board of Education meeting tonight. If you please would join me in standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a great group here tonight. We have some special recognitions tonight. Actually, we have 5 groups that we're going to be recognizing tonight. First, we'll hear from Paul Tandy with an update on the Granting Dreams program. In addition, we are looking to honoring the Parkway NEA scholarship recipients, winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Poster Contest, and students selected as Missouri Scholars 100, and students who have been chosen for the 2015 Missouri Scholars Academy. Please welcome Paul Tandy, Chief Communications Officer.
Well, good evening, and thank you, President Jacob, members of the board, Dr. Marty, and Ms. Stover. I'm honored tonight to be able to be here to help us as we recognize and thank and honor the Parkway Alumni Association for all the work that they do. If you've been around a while, you'll know that we have such a strong alumni association, and I think if you look around the country in public school districts, you'll be hard-pressed to find one that does the types of things that ours does. And it's not just about helping to connect alumni and friends, which it is about that, but it's also about developing programs that support the mission of our schools and help in the process of educating our students. The Parkway Alumni Association has had another fantastic year serving the Parkway community. In November, the Alumni Association inducted 20 new alumni into the Parkway Alumni Hall of Fame. All of those recipients made it a point to thank Parkway educators who made a significant impact in shaping each of their lives during their acceptance speeches. And just yesterday on Give STL Day, which as you may know was a large fundraising effort throughout the community to donate to charities, it also coincided with Teacher Appreciation Day. People throughout the country made donations in honor of Parkway teachers, and their stories were amazing. I want to give you a couple of statistics about how well the Alumni Association did yesterday. There were about 300 charities in the same category as them, small charities, and out of those 300, our Alumni Association ranked 4th in the number of donations, and out of those 300, we ranked 19th in the amount of funds that were donated. And those were by our alumni from across the country, and the stories that they put online about their teachers and the experiences they had were truly amazing. In addition, just this past Monday, the Alumni Association hosted the 19th annual Granting Dreams ceremony with about 550 educators, parents, grandparents, and siblings in attendance. 197 students, ranging from kindergarten through 12th grade, received grants from the Alumni Association to pursue their dreams. I'm proud to report that this year's class of recipients, that including this year's class, the Alumni Association has awarded more than 3,000 grants, totaling more than $259,000 since the inception of the program in 1996. And we hope the program will obviously continue. Finally, I'd just like to give a special thanks to you, the members of our Board of Education, Dr. Marty and the administration, and all the faculty and staff who give their time to help support and promote our Alumni Association and their programming from year to year. And so it's thanks to you and our other members of our community that make our Alumni Association so strong. Thank you for this opportunity to give the report tonight.
Thank you, Paul. I've been in that room sometimes when I've been able to go to the Granting Dreams, and it's getting difficult to find a place where we can put them all. Next, we want to recognize the winners of the Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Poster Contest and the Parkway NEA Scholarship winners. Please welcome our president of the Parkway NEA, Julie Pepper.
I think we're going to go out and run, aren't we? Shake hands.
Good evening, President Jacob, Vice President Mogerman, members of the Parkway Board of Education, Dr. Marty and Ms. Stover. I actually have Pat McPartland with me, who, as you know, is going to be the new Parkway NEA president, and he's going to help us out tonight. So we're very excited tonight to be here. It's my pleasure and privilege to present this year's scholarships to aspiring educators as well as professional development scholarships to current Parkway educators. As one way of fulfilling our commitment to further the education profession, the Parkway NEA offers over $4,500 in annual scholarships each year. Since 1983, the Parkway NEA has awarded scholarships to seniors in high school wishing to enter the education profession. In 1988, an additional scholarship was added, the Gene Olson Memorial Scholarship, to be offered to the child or dependent of a Parkway NEA member who's pursuing a career in education. In 1996, the Vito Maniaci Scholarship was created to help provide professional development opportunities for active Parkway NEA members. In 2002, the Linda Favero Memorial Scholarship was created to help provide professional development opportunities or advanced degree assistance for active Parkway NEA members. And in 2013, the Jowanda Bozeman Social Justice and Education Scholarship was created to assist Parkway NEA members who work diligently towards achieving the Parkway mission through the implementation of social justice work in their everyday practice. And this year, we're very excited that we were able to add 6 new scholarships as a result of the inaugural Parkway NEA Trivia Night. These scholarships will be awarded to PNEA members who are pursuing professional development and growth. So we are going to start off this year with the first Vito Maniaci Professional Development Scholarship, which is going to Darlene Wagner. So Darlene, if you'll come forward. Okay, our next recipient is an art teacher at Central High, Miss Kara Deffenbaugh, who has a PNEA Trivia Scholarship. And next, a teacher from Riverbend Elementary, Lindsay Katz, another PNEA scholarship. From Parkway Central High School, a math teacher, Sarah Reeves, PNEA Trivia Scholarship. And Amy Sampo from Parkway South? Carmen Trails Elementary, sorry. Another PNEA Trivia Scholarship. We got 2 more of those scholarships. Courtney Varner, PNEA Trivia Scholarship. Okay, the next 2 scholarships actually are the Jowanda Bozeman Social Justice Scholarships, and I did not see Tia Leach come in. Is Tia here? Oh, great. Okay, so the first one goes to Tia Leach. And our next recipient is Ken Sussman for Jowanda Bozeman Social Justice. Okay, our next group of scholarships are our student scholarships that go to seniors who are pursuing an education degree or pursuing education as they go on. So first we have, no, I got them. We have Molly Panet from Central High School. Congratulations, Molly. Our next senior is Ryan Lecker from Parkway North High School. And then I have two other seniors who I am not sure if they are here yet, if they've gotten here. Abigail Schiller. Is Abigail here? Or Ashley Strobel. Is Ashley? Oh, great. Come on down. Ashley's from South High. And our final scholarship, the Gene Olson Memorial Scholarship, is being awarded tonight to a senior from Central High, Taylor Thompson. At this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Ms. Phyllis Barnes, who's going to help us award our Martin Luther King contest winners.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone who helped to make this event possible and give a warm welcome to all of our students and their guests. Dr. King lived for less than 40 years, yet the legacy of his work to build a more just society continues to inspire us all this time later. Much progress has been made in the years since Dr. King's death. The diversity in the schools that our Parkway students are fortunate enough to attend serve as an example of what Dr. King wished for in his historic I Have a Dream speech. Yet, when we reflect upon the events that have occurred in recent months, it gives us pause. Our region was the epicenter of a renewed call for justice that echoed across this nation. Some have heeded the call, some have been confused by it, and in many cases, the students in our communities have led these calls and the conversations that have happened as a result. It gives me great hope to know that our students here in Parkway continue to learn about and recognize the importance of Dr. King's work on civil rights issues. What a fitting tribute to his legacy. For the second year in a row, we had over 200 entries from 10 schools around the district. I so greatly appreciate the continued support of this wonderful opportunity for Parkway students. We're very pleased to be able to honor the students who created such inspirational words and images to support the theme, The Dream Lives On. And I believe they'll be showing on the big screen up there. Students, would you please come forward as your name is called? First place in the kindergarten first grade category, Gray Calvin from Cervantes Springs. Gray was so excited. He just told me a little while ago that he was so excited to be the first place winner in the whole district. Well, I don't know. It may just knock his socks off to realize that he's the second place winner in the whole entire state of Missouri. Congratulations, Gray. Our second place winner in the kindergarten first grade category is Jack Smith. Congratulations, Jack. Ethan Coe from Henry is our third place winner in the K1 category. In our second and third grade category, Ronak Mahanti from Shenandoah Valley was our first place winner in the district. And Ronak will also be excited to learn that he's a first place winner in the state of Missouri this year. Paisley Fortis is our second place tie in the second and third grade category. Come on up, Miss Paisley. And sharing that honor with Paisley this year is Annika Shende from Shenandoah Valley. I don't think Annika was able to make it this evening. Third place tie in our second and third grade category. We had so many talented second and third graders this year. It was Manvi Sial from Shenandoah Valley. Congratulations. And sharing that honor with Manvi is Eva Belknap from Sorrento Springs. I don't believe Eva was able to make it this evening either. All right, moving on to fourth and fifth grade. Rafa Reza from Shenandoah Valley was the first place tie in the fourth and fifth grade. Congratulations. This is not your first time up here. Some of you may recognize this young lady. She's been here before. Sharing the honor of first place tie in the fourth and fifth grade category is Miss Sarah Ning from Mason Ridge. I don't believe Sarah was able to make it this evening, but she'll be excited when I tell her at school tomorrow that she's also a first place winner in the state of Missouri. Tied for second place are Miss Josie Rand from Craig. Congratulations, Josie. And sharing that honor with her is Sarithka Gangzetti, but I don't believe that she was able to come either, but she attends Craig School. Moving on to the third place tie, we also had a lot of talented fourth and fifth graders this year. Jefferson Jack Carey from Shenandoah Valley. He might also look familiar to some of you all because he's been a winner in our district before. And Sarah Joseph was the other third place winner in the fourth and fifth grade category from our district. Sarah should also be very excited to find out that she's a second place winner at the state level. She may also look familiar to some of you, which is probably why she's a winner at the state level. And last but not least, Miss Birch Fabregas from South Middle is our first place winner in the 6th through 8th grade category. Congratulations, Birch. Just wanted to say thank you so much for giving us the time to acknowledge the students, and we also want to acknowledge and thank the parents, family members, and staff members who are here in support of their students. Would you please stand and be recognized? As well as the many PNEA members who've give their efforts throughout the year organizing this contest. Special thanks also goes to Kathy Kelly and Julie Ellis from the Communications Department and their team for preparing their certificates and planning all the other details that make this event so special for them and their families. And last but certainly not least, I would like to thank our PNEA President, Julie Pepper, for her assistance and leadership with this project, as well as many others. We've been so fortunate to have Julie represent our teachers in our district so very well during her 2 years as the PNEA President. As many of you already know, Julie will be retiring after 30 years of service, which is hard to believe considering how great she looks. Thank you very much for all of your contributions to our district over the years. Congratulations and best wishes. Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate so very much what the teachers do, and especially these kids, the way they respond. Wasn't it just wonderful to see how they came up here and to see the results of some of the work that they've done? We've got a little bit more here to recognize, I think. I'd like to please have you welcome Dr. Denise Farnella. She's the coordinator of our Gifted and Grants, and she'll introduce the students that have been selected in 2015 for Missouri Scholars Academy and the Missouri Scholars 100.
President Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mrs. Stover and Dr. Marty, good evening. I am so pleased to be here this evening to present to you two very accomplished groups of students. The first group is 15 young scholars who were chosen from a pool of literally thousands across Missouri to participate in the exclusive Missouri Scholars Academy. The Academy is a 3-week residential program held on the campus of the University of Missouri in Columbia, and the program provides a unique educational experience for only approximately 500 of our state's finest young scholars. The application for participating was rigorous and involved not only academic achievement, but leadership capacity and creative problem solving. Some of the characteristics the Academy looks for in their selection process are intellectual curiosity, students with a broad range of interests, the ability to think analytically and conceptually, students who are self-starters and independent, students who are risk takers of social maturity, and students who are honest and considerate of others, and students with the ability to express him or herself orally in the writing or in the arts. And finally, students who possess a sense of humor. So I'd like to introduce Delynn Stoneburner. She is our high school gifted specialist, and she has been instrumental in the Missouri Scholars Academy application process, and she knows the students very well, so I'm going to let her introduce the students.
Good evening. From Parkway Central, we have Daniel Berkovich. Also from Parkway Central, we have Balaji Charapalo. Madeline Scannell.
Congratulations, Maddie.
From Parkway South, we have Aaron Neely. Samuel Ritter. Malik Taylor Allen. From Parkway North, we have Jillian Day.
Nice job.
Sean Harrigan.
This way. Congratulations, Sean. Congratulations, Sean.
Claire Mayer.
Nice job, Claire.
Elizabeth Rand. From Parkway West, we have Aaron Dorrance.
Congratulations.
Kyle Hidalgo. Rose Ho. George Liu. And last, Kyron Robinson.
Congratulations, awesome job. Okay, and I'm going to ask that the students stay up there. We have one more group to recognize. I would now like to present to you Parkway's Missouri Scholars 100 students. The Missouri Scholars 100 is a program sponsored by the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals and is a statewide recognition obtained by only 100 students. Each student nominated had to first meet criteria of an academic decathlon, which included 10 events designed to assure the academic strength of the student. To meet the decathlon requirements, the students must have a minimum GPA of 3.75, a minimum ACT score of 29, be ranked in the upper 10% of the class, and have taken upper-level courses in mathematics, science, English, and modern classical language. The student must also have excellent attendance, be an exemplary school citizen, and be involved in the school activity program. Parkway is pleased to introduce the following 7 students who have achieved the remarkable Missouri Scholars 100 status. As I say your name, please come forward. From Central High, Terrence Huang. Maybe Terrence is not here tonight. And also from Central High, Minky Kim. Is Minky here? From North High, Ryan Wahidi. From South High, Andrew Dong. Kevin Zhang, also from South High. Good job. And from West High, William Tong. And also from West High, Rachel Yang. Okay. All of these students, the Missouri Scholars Academy students and the Missouri Scholars 100, are undoubtedly among the finest leaders from Parkway School District. And I'd like to send them all off with the following words of wisdom from Peter Drucker. Leadership is lifting a person's vision to higher heights, the raising of a person's performance to a higher standard, the building of a personality beyond its normal limitations. I hope that your experiences in Parkway and this amazing opportunity to be either a part of the Missouri Scholars 100 or the Missouri Scholars Academy helps each of you as you strive to develop your leadership potential and soar beyond your normal limitations. Thank you for proudly representing Parkway School District. Could I now have principals from the high schools and parents please stand, as we know that these students would not be here tonight without your support at home and at school. Congratulations to all of the stellar young men and women. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Again, we just want to thank you, parents. You've raised some wonderful kids, some wonderful scholars, some wonderful talent. And we want these students to know how much we appreciate and admire them. You're a hard act to follow. We appreciate it so much. At this time, we'll take a short break so that you can go about your business if you need to, or you can stay and enjoy the rest of the board meeting. But we'll take a short break. Thanks. anymore, but thank you. I can write on it later. Thank you very much. We'll call the meeting back to order. Wasn't that special with those kids? And the teachers too. Wonderful. And we appreciate Julie, all that she's done. And of course, welcome Patrick and his new role. It'll be fun working with him too. We'll continue the meeting. 6.0, additions, corrections, and modifications to the agenda. 6.01, addition of consent item 11.21, approval of Kagan Cooperative Learning Workshop, Equity and Excellence, fees in the revised total amount of $108,143.25. That's the total amount. We actually approved $82,000 at a prior meeting. 6.02, addition of policy review 13.02, policy GBEB.BP, professional relationships, all employees. 6.03, addition to agenda, item 11.02, approval of personnel items. 6.04, addition of contract to agenda item 11.19, approval of purchase of professional services, WJR Technologies. And 6.05, agenda item 11.20, approval of contract with Kelly Education Services has been pulled from the agenda for tonight. 7.0, citizen statements. I have a sign-up sheet here with one person. We'll ask you to come to the podium when I call your name, and then if you would say your name and address so that we can respond to you later. And I have, and I'm not going to be able to say this right, but Emil Strope, if you would please come and just give us your name and address and maybe tell us where you're from. Are you an exchange student? Very good.
Hi, my name is Emil Sturup, and I'm a foreign exchange student from Denmark, and my address here is 1929 Pine Run Drive. I'm mainly here to thank you for allowing me to come to the Parkway community. I came here in August, and I played soccer at Parkway Central, and the soccer kind of became my base for my life here. The coach was really nice, and he made the transition help easy. He helped me around in the hallways and made everything easy for me. So yeah, and I'm a senior at Parkway Central. I've also really enjoyed the academics at Parkway Central. I've really enjoyed all my teachers, and all the classes have been really exciting. I've especially enjoyed anthropology with Dr. King, crime and law with Mr. Sellers, and my German class with Frau or Mrs. McMahon, who I think was the teacher of the year at Parkway Central as well. So I really want to say thank you for allowing me and my fellow exchange students to be a part of the Parkway community. I really appreciate it, and it's been an amazing year. Thank you.
Thank you, Emil.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emil, we appreciate that a lot. On my mother's side, they come from Denmark, and I'll be in Copenhagen at the end of June, so hopefully. Maybe we'll be on the same flight. Thank you very much. 8.0, approval of agenda, May 16th, 2015. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education scheduled for May 6th, 2015? So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The motion carries 6-0. Resolutions, there are none. 10.0, communications. 10.01, introduction of new administrators. I don't believe there are any tonight, correct? 10.02, calendar of meetings. The annual Board of Education retreat. We wanted to change that sometimes because it sounds like we're really having a lot of fun, but it's held right here, well, over in the administration building, and it's scheduled for May 29th from noon to 5 p.m. and on May 30th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Parkway's Administrative Center. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, June 10th, 2015 at 7 p.m. at Central High School, not here, but at Central High School because of some things that they'll be doing here. There is an anticipated closed session at 6 p.m. 10.03 Board Liaison Reports. Does anyone have any liaison reports?
Sure.
We'll start with Debbie. Thank you.
The first one that I'd like to talk about is the Taiwanese children that attended Claymont Elementary, along with myself, Dr. Marty, and Chris Jacobs. We attended the Claymont Day with the Taiwanese children. We had about 19 families host 14 students, I believe, something to the 14 families hosting 19 students, and just had a beautiful presentation. Dr. Marty gave a beautiful presentation of gifts, and a huge shout out to Mr. Wills and Mrs. Weisenborn and the Claymont PTO for hosting the lunch. Mrs. Weisenborn was greeting the students at the airport Monday night while Mr. Wills was getting his Pillar of Parkway Award at the appreciation dinner. So the two of them are a great team, and very, I felt that they showcased the school quite well. And Mr. Wills gave a presentation during lunch on the American education system, and it was fun to be able to talk to the Taiwanese sponsors and parents about how the Taiwanese education system is set up and how the American system is set up. So that was a lot of fun. So that was very enjoyable. The other event that I attended on Tuesday night was the Alliance for Healthy Communities. It was a difficult presentation, but a very important presentation to hear about from prescription to addiction. Gerard Opsahl from the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Division was there. Detective Casey Lambert from the St. Louis County Police Bureau of Drug Enforcement presented. And there was also a gentleman who spoke on his story about his journey from becoming addicted to heroin, his withdrawal symptoms, and now recovering from heroin. It's a prevalent problem that I think everybody should, if they can, see the presentation. Parkway is working to get that presentation up on its website, so we hope to have that up and running. But it was a very difficult presentation to hear, but one that's of vital importance to our community. And they're also going to have a similar presentation on Channel 5 KSDK tonight on the 10 o'clock news, again called From Prescription to Addiction, and Jared Opsahl is going to be interviewed at that as well. And then the following evening, I had the opportunity to attend the Cardinals baseball game with Dr. Marty and the Safe and Drug-Free program. Ron Ramspot headed that up, and we got to have a presentation of some of the student leaders who are our peer leaders in the high schools who are working in the Safe and Drug-Free program. So it was a great recognition time for them as well. And Dr. Marty and Al Roboski gave some very relevant remarks to the students about staying on the course and trying to be drug-free and staying on the path. So they were wonderful comments at the right time. So thank you so much.
Anyone else?
I think we all had the opportunity to attend Parkway Appreciation Night, where we honored lots of teachers and administrators and other employees. It was wonderful as always.
I don't know how they do all that extra stuff with all their teaching hours, too.
Yeah.
It's amazing to hear all the extra activities that the teachers are doing.
Right.
It was the first time for Patty Bedborough and
Yeah.
Amy Joyce, and they were just really blown away by it. It was a great feeling in the room that night. Anybody else?
Yes.
Okay.
A few of us attended the Spark Trivia Night,
Oh, yes.
and
And no, I'm not smarter than a fifth grader.
and we almost won. Not quite.
If there'd been 2 or 3 flights, we might have won.
But we had one.
But we had a really good time, and I understand that they raised a lot of money for 2 very good causes, for some to go to Spark and some to go to the school that George John runs in India that some of our students are going to visit. So it was an exciting and fun evening.
I just wish Buddy would have been a little bit more aware of who was dead and alive. That's an insight. We had a little trivia on dead and alive, and Buddy was insistent a lot of people weren't living anymore.
He insists 'cause he
Marty, I gotta say, I
knows.
told you so.
Yeah.
because-
Right, honey?
I attended the Les Move event that was out at Creekwood Park over the weekend. And
Oh, good.
Ron did a great job of ordering up some really great weather. So it was really well attended. It's amazing the engagement that we have with the community when it comes to things like that. And there were lots of people out there, so that was great. And I attended Career Day at Piermont Elementary. They had everybody there from like rock stars to people with the Cardinals, so obviously they didn't want to hear from a lawyer, but
Thank you very much.
Chris, I just have to say, I attended a very unique event last night. At least, I think, I don't know, maybe a first, maybe not, but the North Band had a outdoor concert at Logan College last night, and it was just a wonderful night and a wonderful concert, kind of a pops concert, honestly, and it was just a wonderful setting. And we know how much good we see at Logan, but it was outside. They actually have, I didn't realize they have an outdoor amphitheater on the backside of Purser.
I didn't know that either.
And it was a wonderful night and well attended. They had food trucks and it was just a well planned night. Really a family event and well attended. So I just
Well, I had a couple other things that I did that I saw Jeff at the All District Art Fair down at Queenie. Hundreds and hundreds of exhibits there. Some of them were obviously what they had drawn or painted, but there were ceramics and just everything from grade school up through high school. It was a wonderful event to see what some of our kids are capable of doing. Also, was it the Taiwan thing? I thought it was interesting that Principal Aaron Wills, when he did mention that we have 506 students here at Claymont, but today we have 525 because of the 19. And these kids, they got up there too, and part of it, it was storytelling. And here's some kids from Taiwan telling these wonderful stories with lots of enthusiasm and hand gestures. I mean, they could hold their own. And I thought, I'm sure I couldn't do that in Taiwan if I was asked to speak in Mandarin or something like that. I did learn Kim Sia, which means thank you. So very nice with them. Also attended the North High School Honors Ceremony, where we honor so many of our seniors and other students who have accomplished things during the year. I thought one of the things that's worth mentioning, one teacher who was particularly loved there, Tom Wagle, in the art department, they established a special honor that they're going to give each year for him, and the first person that got that was a young lady that I know, Allie Gant, and she was perfect to be the first recipient of that award. Very, very loved teacher, always willing to give. His parents were there. They were moved to tears. It was really quite an experience, and what a wonderful thing to do. Also attended Government Relations and Communications Advisory. Those are two great committees. We did have a Student Services, if anybody wants to talk about that was there, the subcommittee. Sam's not here, but remember we met with...
Yeah, we talked a lot of issues. It's been a while since we went
We
to
did.
that.
Well, if you want to read the notes there.
Yeah.
A lot of activity, and certainly a lot more to come. Next week is, I kidded with Dee that this was practice out here for shaking hands next week, because we'll be doing a lot of that as we go to different high schools for graduations. Thank you to all of you for helping us get to this part of the school year. Just this year has flown by. I just can't believe that we're already in May and looking at wrapping up this year. Is there anything else that anybody would like to, if not? 10.05, upcoming subcommittee meetings. There's an HR Finance Board Subcommittee meeting, 3 p.m. on May 18th at Administration. And there's also a TLA Subcommittee meeting, 3 p.m. on May 21st up at ISC. 11.0, action items consent. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in the May 6, 2015 board materials?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Is there anything that needs to be pulled to action or closed out of the consent items? Okay. Then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Then the motion carries. Nikki, 6-0. 12.0 action items individual, there are none. 13.0 policy review. 13.01 policy review JRA.BP student records. Are there any questions from the board that they would like Charlotte EJ to come up here and answer? Are we? Or Chelsea? Any questions for her?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to 13.02, policy GBEB.BP, professional relationships, all employees. And I would like, Amy's gone home, she wasn't feeling well, but if Chelsea, if you could come, I'd just like you just to talk about it a little bit so we get it on the record. This has been something that as a board we've been working on for a while, and I think we're at that point now we're kind of ready to move forward with it.
Very good. Well, we have had a professional relationships policy since 2001, and it was updated in 2009. And so we are proposing some revisions to this policy and changing the name of the policy to employee professionalism and ethos. And why are we doing this? Because it sets our employees up for success as we continue our conversation around character education. We have high expectations for our students in Parkway. As you know, you most recently approved the character development policy, which outlines what we expect our schools to be doing in relationship to character education. And part of that work around what schools are doing to help students better their character is employees are to be role models, and employees are to demonstrate positive relationships, help us embrace the positive Parkway culture, and to continue moving our district and our community forward. So these revisions and a few additions are in part reflective of our Parkway community, but most importantly reflective of our society and the expectations that we have for adults in working together, and most importantly, calling themselves part of the Parkway family.
I certainly appreciate the work. I know when we look at our values, we've really raised the bar for what we expect to see accomplished here by students and staff. Any other questions or comments that people might have?
How is this going to be rolled out to the employees?
Well, we have a tentative plan pending approval next month. And so our tentative plan is, with the help of our wonderful Derek Duncan, our videographer, we are going to create a video. And the video will consist of Dr. Marty, Amy Joyce, and myself talking about the expectation of a Parkway employee, talking about our policy. And this will be part of the mandatory trainings for all employees when they start the school year. So they will have to watch us, but hopefully Derek will not have too much of us on the video, but hear our voices. And Derek is looking right now and taking shots of employees and just showing employees and how we interact with each other and how we get along and doing the right thing. So again, if this is approved next month, we will put this together. We actually have a script already for this, and we will, again, it will be part of mandatory training for all employees for the fall.
Good question. Anybody else?
I'm pretty excited about this, only, for a lot of reasons, but one reason is that we don't have problems in Parkway, but we want to make, as you said, Chris, to keep the bar high, and I think we've had high expectations, but as we continue on as a district with our students and our staff, we want to make sure that our staff are the role models and continue to really represent us and represent themselves, because we have a high calling in education and a high calling with our students, and it starts with us. And by the way, I really believe that this really, you're not exempt from this. I guess I could honestly say the school board is part of this. The superintendent, all of us as administrators, we're not, we're the high examples as well. So this is all employees. This isn't.
This might be a little nervous. I'm not going to say who.
I think one of the things that I will add is organizations, school districts, companies across the country are implementing code of ethics, ethos, cultural expectations, climate expectations, whatever you want to call it. But these are expectations that organizations have for their employees, no matter where you work. And we should be no different.
And I was thinking it's broad enough that it like includes social media and those types of things without necessarily mentioning it, but it's broad enough that it covers those things.
Yes.
Well, we have a lot of confidence in our administrators. We have a lot of confidence in our staff and our teachers. And we want to model those things that will help them be even more successful as they move forward in life. So thank you for working on this. Appreciate it very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. As Chelsea mentioned, these policies will be up for approval at the June 10th board meeting. 14.0 reports, there are none. 15.0 work session, they're on their way, I can see them. This is 15.01 budget 2015-2016. We really appreciate the work that these people do, Patty and Brian, who's our director of finance, and making sure that we understand what next year is going to look like and how we can make sure it happens. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and good evening. So just to kind of go over a little agenda for our budget presentation, Brian Whittle and I are both going to share in part of this presentation. Amy Joyce was going to share in the staffing portion, but as you mentioned earlier, she left because she wasn't feeling very well. But she did go over it pretty in depth with Brian, so we feel like we're ready to present the information. So of course, we're going to start with a review of some of the items we presented to you in December with our budget assumptions. So we will review our assessed valuation, our property tax collection rate, our operating revenue projections, our enrollment projections, which then lead to our staffing projections, our salaries and benefits, our operating expenditure projections, our total revenues and expenses, and then we'll look more into our forward budgeting in our 5-year forecasts, along with our fund balance projections. So our assessed valuation, in this graph, it shows not only our historic assessed valuation, but also our assessed valuation as the protested claims have been settled. With our latest assessed valuation, we're at $4.3 billion. So we did have quite a bit of growth from our 2014 assessed valuation. But the CPI only grew by 0.8%. So we will not be able to take all of that as new revenue. So certainly anything that's new construction, that'll be new revenue to our district, but any growth in existing property values, it'll be capped at the 0.8% in growth. So if it grew by, let's just say 6%, we wouldn't have a 6% overall growth in the total revenue amount. So we'll have to roll back the rates for that. Our collection rate, as you recall from our discussions, not only with the budget for ending last year, but also with our revised budget, we know that our collection rate has been impacted by the amount of protested taxes we've had to pay back to St. Louis County. This year, we budgeted at 96% collection rate. We believe that we'll end the year better than that. So when we're looking at our budget for next year, we're looking at an increase in that collection rate of 96.75%. This time last year, we knew that there was around $4 million that we paid back to St. Louis County. Right now, we know that we've paid back just under $1 million so far. So definitely so far in this fiscal year, we've seen a decrease in the amount that we've had to pay back, but we also know with each month they could settle more, and that could easily change. So right now, we're just hopeful. So operating revenues, like we said, the initial assessed valuation was just over $4.3 billion. Collection rate, we're using 96.75%. As you recall too, when we did our tax rate hearing last year, we still have one portion of the recoupment that we have not taken advantage of. And it's about $6.4 million. It's on the residential rate. It would mean right about 24 cents. And this is the third year of the recoupment, so it's either use it or lose it. So one question that you might be asking is, well, what does that mean to the average homeowner? Well, if the average home value, an assessed home value is $275,000, that would mean an increase of $125. The other thing that you'll see on our operating revenues, our earnings on investments, we actually are showing an increase, and it's not because we've gotten these miraculous high interest rates. It's actually because we're paying back less in the protested taxes. So when we pay back the protested tax, we also have to pay back an interest that is due on those protested taxes. And I know it sounds strange, but it comes from the interest revenue line instead of an interest expense line. Other local revenues, we also have a slight increase in food service revenues and in the manufacturers and merchants fees. State taxes, we have a state funding, sorry, we actually have a slight increase in there, and we are estimating the elimination of the proration factor. With the House Bill 1689 from last year, every school district that has hold harmless funding, there will be a zero proration factor. We also have a slight increase in federal funding, and this is due to increase in our general allocations. But as you know, with federal funding, we actually have matching expenditures along with that too. So when Brian explains a little bit about the staffing, we actually have 2 additional Title I positions that'll be funded with the Title I additional funds. So here we have in the chart our additional operating revenues. So this does not include our debt service or our capital projects. Overall, we have about a 1.63% increase from this year. The fiscal year 15 projections are as of the revised budget. We feel pretty comfortable with these revenues, that they are collectible, and we believe the property tax, we may actually exceed that budgeted amount for this year. So graphically, operating revenues, as you know, majority of our revenues come from our what's considered our local taxes, so 89.66. Those local taxes include property tax, Prop C, which is also the sales tax revenue that's distributed back to the school districts, student activities, our earnings on investments, our tuition from VST, and then other local, which includes M&M. Enrollment projections. These are enrollment projections from March. These go out into future years, so in 4 years in the future. For next year, we're showing a growth to 17,348. That's a growth of 59 students year over year. In the following year, we have a growth of 40 students. The breakdown of the enrollment between resident students in VST are shown on this slide. And this does not vary by much based on comparison from our December numbers. So with me is Brian Whittle to present on staffing.
So our staffing is fairly closely tied to the enrollment you saw on the last page. As you can see, we're projecting 13 new certified positions last year, the 0.02. I would hate to be that person, I guess. Of those, we have 2 Title I teachers, our reading specialists, as Patty mentioned, and those 2 positions will be directly offset by an increase in the Title I grant money we'll receive. And 2.8 of those 13 are virtual learning and a technology position. So, and it's just kind of break down 3 categories: classroom staffing, which is where our biggest increase is of the 1163, and then standards and additional. So this next page shows our breakdown in staffing positions. That's pretty flat from last year. The big increase again is the Title I teachers, the two new ones in there. And then what we call our standards are remaining flat from year to year. So, and then this kind of goes over how we made our estimates for operating expenditures. Again, operating expenditures are everything besides our general obligation bond debt, and our big capital projects. Salaries and benefits, as you can imagine, are the biggest portion of our operating expenditures at about 84% of them. And we forecasted the overall increase in 2.69% in raises, and that was offset with turnover savings of about $1.5 million, mostly from our early retirement incentive. And as you remember from the last meeting, we are taking substitute costs out of our salary. So when we see the next slide, it will look like salaries barely increasing. Just keep in mind that about 2.3 million is because of substitutes. For benefits, we estimated a 5% increase in health and dental benefits, which is what we've been doing pretty consistently. And then the other part of our benefit calculations are items like employment taxes, retirement, life insurance, and those are tied to salaries. So that's why you don't see a flat 5% increase in benefits. You see kind of a mixed number of about 2.7. Purchase services, you'll notice an increase there, and again, it's from the Kelly Substitutes contract. So it's really just moving from salary to purchase services. It's kind of a flat number. Supply savings, you'll notice it's lower. What we're projecting last year, well, that's because, if you remember last October, November, we had a lot of roll forward expenses. The different schools said, hey, we didn't spend this last year. We need this rolled forward. So that kind of ups the current year projections. And we don't know yet what they're going to ask to roll forward next year, but whatever they roll forward, it would be money they didn't spend this year. And you'll notice the debt service and operating. That is pretty much just a few years ago, they used debt service to buy laptops. That's ending, so we're going to get pretty substantial cut there in that section. Again, you can see here is our operating expenditures by categories. Again, just keep in mind the salaries would be a lot higher. I think if we were doing an apples-to-apples comparison on salary, it would have gone up about $2.5 million or 1.8%, if we just factored in the turnover and the raises. And overall, expenditures are increasing 1.5%, or $3.4 million. That's kind of good news because if you remember Patty's revenue slide, revenues are going up by 1.6%. That's a trend we want to see, revenues going up faster than expenditures. And here's our breakdown of how our operating funds are spent. As I said, salary and benefits are a big chunk at about 84%. And then with supplies making up our next biggest. So if we, what Patty discussed with the revenue and what I just discussed with the expenditures, you can kind of see how that nets out. We're forecasting a gain of $521,000 next year. And again, it's a conservative forecast. We always hope to finish higher, but this is the number we're bringing today. That would put our operating fund balance at 14.05%. That's you take your operating expenditures, divide them by your fund balance, and that's where we're at. And it's increasing year over year. So now if we go to all funds, this will include debt service and capital projects. Just like with the operating funds, we're assuming a 96.75 collection rate. You'll see a big jump in property taxes from debt service because we voted on increase in the debt service property rate. But revenues overall are decreasing because when we look at total revenues this year, fiscal year 15, we had the bond issue money come in. Next year we won't have that huge amount of money coming in, so it does make overall revenues look like they're decreasing, but that's again just from the debt issue. So as you can see, revenues are going from $320 million this year, but $81 million of that was bond issue, to $248 million next year that we're forecasting for all funds. And you can see the big jump in property taxes from the tax rate increase. Same, similar picture we see with the operating funds. Local property taxes is our biggest revenue generator. So the expenditures for all fund, it would include everything I had discussed with the operating. It also includes a reduction of the debt service from the bonds that were refunded. The payments are less. It also adds in the new bonds that we issued, the principal and the issue. And it includes all projected bond issue spending next year. So on here you can see the bond issue project is in the biggest increase. This year we're thinking we'll spend about $9 million on the 2015 bond issue, and next year about $19 million. Debt service, it does show that giant decrease. That's because according to the governmental accounting standards, we use when we refunded that bond, we had to pay it all off, and that was considered an expense last year, even though there was revenue to directly offset it. So, and even when we look at every fund together, salary and benefits are still our single biggest category, but the bond issue projects and debt service also eat into that pie. Okay, and this is a recapitulation for all of our funds, the general and the special, which are our two operating funds, then debt service and capital, and then we also broke out the 2015 bond issue. So it does, you know, when you look at it this way, our fund balance is decreasing, but that's what you would expect as we're spending down the bond issue money. Yeah.
From there, we move forward to our 5-year forecast. So we'll start with operating revenues. We made some assumptions for the future years. So we did a look back of our previous years and then did an average of what those increases were. So to take that average and then move that forward. So for local property tax, an annual increase, we used 1.5% per year. For Prop C revenue, we used 2.8% per year. Federal revenue, an annual increase of 2% a year. Other local and earnings on investments, we used a 3% per year. Maybe one day we'll actually have increased interest rates too. Remaining revenues, we essentially left the same. We hit some of the larger portions with our changes. So we looked at an overall increase of approximately 1.7% annually. So here they are pictorially. When we looked at the expenditures, we did something very similar as far as looking at the past revenue or past expenditure patterns and then using that to forecast going forward. Of course, this year was a little different with the salary because of the movement to other purchase services, but we used the trend prior to the movement of those salaries. So annual salary increase, we're looking at a 1.2% based on the increased less turnover savings, plus the anticipated new hires based on the enrollment projections. So we use Nathan's enrollment projections in order to look at staffing patterns of certified staff going forward. Annual benefit increase, we use 2.6%. It still assumes the 5% increase in the medical and the dental benefit, less turnover savings. Purchase services, an increase of 1.4% annually, supplies 2% annually, and no increase in debt service or student activities. So those were essentially frozen. So overall, it's an increase between 1.5 and 1.65 per year. When we match that together and look at the fund balance percentages and our ending fund balances for operating, we do see that we have growth in our fund balance in 2016, and then we're essentially flat to a little declining, 217 through 2019, 2020. Part of that, you may notice that new line on there that says transfer to capital projects. Currently, there's a fund balance in capital projects, but we estimate by 2017, 2018, we're going to have to start transferring money from operating into capital projects in order to cover those expenditures. So we do have some concerns for the dwindling capital projects fund balance. We need to begin transfers, like I said, beginning in 17-18. The capital project amount will actually be determined by the number of buses we purchase in the future. In 15-16, we do not have anything budgeted for bus purchases because with our purchase of the CNG buses last year, it essentially was 3 years worth of buses. So right now we're adequately supplied with new buses. Also, any kind of capital projects outside of the bond issue. We have a general operating budget, if you will, for general capital projects, so that could change year to year. And also it will vary with the payback of the scoreboards. So currently in the budget we have the scoreboards in there, but not the revenue for the scoreboard. So the timing of that may affect and impact the 17-18 year. So if we receive the funding in pretty regularly, then we may not have to transfer the 17-18 funds to capital projects, or it may be a lesser amount. So each year, as you go out further, then it's a little less accurate. It's just based on, assumptions. So as we know more, the numbers get updated. And of course, we'll have further discussions on fund balances, et cetera, at the board retreat at the end of this month. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what the capital projects are that are not within the fund?
There is, currently we do have the amount for the scoreboards that are in this year's. We also have what's called a discretionary fund that is in the facilities budget, that is budgeted into there. And then any of the buildings, and the programs, as they're building their budgets, anything that's an expenditure for equipment that's greater than $1,000, so not a purchase of 70 Chromebooks, because Chromebooks are $350 each, that's in supply, but it's large equipment that is greater than $1,000 each, if you will, goes into capital projects. So we have a vehicle budget also in there that's about $150,000 a year. Technology would have pieces in there for server replacements, et cetera. Food service also has a budget of, I believe, $200,000 but we don't have school buses this year. Oh, the leases on the school buses, sorry.
I had a couple more questions. Can I go on? When you were talking about the funds that we receive from the state, I keep reading that the state does not have the funds in the budget to pay for the testing. So where do we get the money for that?
That is a good question. So there's alternatives that possibly they wouldn't have the test, correct? So they haven't necessarily solved that, and they haven't necessarily said that that will be a district expense either.
So we're still just, and we don't know, and do you think that we'll know that by the end of the, no?
That'll be a good question for Friday.
For Friday, I'll hold on to that question for Friday. And then, do the transfer students have any impact on our budget at all? I mean, there's just not that many of them.
There's not. So that is part of our other revenue figures, because even though VST revenue is part of our local revenue, the revenue